Hello everyone, and welcome to the Unique Constraint lecture. So in this lecture, we're going to learn a little more about the unique constraint, which allows us to make sure that the value in a column or a group of columns is unique in a table. Sometimes you want to ensure that the value in a column or a group of columns is unique across the whole table, such as like an email address, a username, an employee ID, etc. PostgreSQL provides you with the unique constraint to make sure that the uniqueness of the data is maintained correctly. With the unique constraint, every time you insert a new row, PostgreSQL is going to check if the value is already in the table. If it found that the new value is already there, it would give back an error message and reject the changes. And the same process is carried out for the update existing data methods. So let's go ahead and show a quick example in the SQL editor by creating a table, specifying a column to be unique, and then seeing what happens when we try to using the insert statement along with that. I'm going to go ahead and jump to the SQL editor now. Alright, so here I am at the SQL editor. What I'm going to go ahead and do is create a table. And let's just go ahead and call this table, let's call it persons, or let's call it people. And let's just go ahead and give it an ID column. So we'll say ID serial, have that be the primary key of this table. We'll go ahead and have this person have a first name, have that just be a variable character string. Let's give it 50 length max. And we need to put some commas here to separate these columns. And the next thing we're going to do is just go ahead and put in finally email. We'll have that be variable character. Go ahead and have it 100 length. But the thing we're going to do is add the constraint that it needs to be unique. Make sure I spelled this right, unique. Okay, so what we have here is the ID column, the first name column, and this email column with that unique constraint. And that's going to make sure that every single value under the email column is going to be unique. So let's go ahead and run that. So we execute that code, looks good. And now let's go ahead and try inserting a new row into the people table. So we're going to say insert into, we'll give it people, and the columns we have to insert are the ID, the first name column, and then the email column. And we're going to we're going to insert values, and we're going to insert a list of values. So let's go ahead and give them an ID of 1. We can actually leave this blank if we left it serial. So we'll just put 1. Let's go ahead and say his first name is Joe. And then let's give him some email address. We'll give him joe@joe.com. Okay, so we have that. If we go ahead and run it, looks like one row is affected. So let's go ahead and check that out. So let's go ahead and select everything from people. So select all columns from the people table. And there we have one joe@joe.com. Perfect. Okay, now let's try to see if we insert someone with the same email. How would that work? We should get an error. So we're going to say insert into people. Let's go ahead and specify the columns, ID, first name, and email. Put in values, and we're going to go ahead and say to give this person another name. We'll say, we'll give this person named Joseph, and they're going to have the same email address, or at least attempt to have the same email address. So we'll put a string in here. We'll give it joe@joe.com. And if we go ahead and try to run this, so notice that that email is the same as Joe's email. So Joseph has the same email. So if I try to run this, I get an error, and this error is actually unrelated. I needed to put an S here under values. My apologies. So here I get the real error that we're looking for, which is the email already exists. So it will actually tell you that duplicate key value violates the unique constraint, people email key, and then it'll give you a little more detail saying email equals joe@joe.com already exists. And that's really the basics of using the unique constraint. We've already seen it used quite a bit, but hopefully this lecture just showed you a little more clearly and specifically how you can use the unique constraint on a column. Okay, that's it for this lecture. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you at the next one.